Let's talk about how to tell people you're not drinking at Thanksgiving or Christmas. I know we're heading into a season of various different get togethers, some with family, some with friends. And whenever there's something to celebrate, well, these days you can pretty much bet that alcohol features at some point. So if you're newly sober or you're trying to be, how on earth do you handle this? Or perhaps you're still drinking right now because actually the thought of having to face this, having to explain to other people why you're not drinking, it just seems too much for you right now. I get that. I felt the same way for a long time. But after a while, I realized that I had to figure this bit out and I just couldn't let it hold me back. So if you are planning on staying alcohol-free for the festive season, consider this to be your pep talk. And if you're still drinking, but you're just curious how to handle this, listen in. The first thing you've got to do is get your own mindset locked in around this. You need to know in your bones that what you're doing is totally fine. It's not like you're giving up breathing. You're just choosing to put a different liquid in your glass. That's it. The liquid you were drinking before wasn't making you feel great, so now you're choosing something different. And you are totally allowed to do that. And just remind that worried part of your brain that what you're doing really isn't that radical or unreasonable. You have certainly got nothing to apologize for. So then, I want you to take that this isn't a big deal energy and bring in a little planning and forward thinking. Because to be honest, if your friends and family are used to seeing you drink and they are used to offering you drinks that you accept, and they think that drinking wine is something that you enjoy and it's something that makes you happy, then it's not really unreasonable for them to notice when you're not drinking or to ask you about that. Them asking a question about this doesn't mean that they have a problem with it. It just means they're noticing. Perhaps they're trying to be a good host. No one is owed a blow-by-blow account of why you've decided to stop drinking. You definitely don't owe anyone that. So you just want to have a simple way of explaining this that feels good to say, but is also firm, confident, and clear. So something like, I'm not drinking alcohol at the moment. I'm taking a complete break from booze and I'm really enjoying it. I decided to stop. You could try this. I decided to stop because these days, even half a glass messes up my sleep and gives me a headache in the morning. So it's just not worth it. Now, find me a woman in perimenopause who cannot relate to that. So many people will just get it. For others, for some of my other students, they prefer to talk about the anxiety. And they explain that the next day after drinking, their low mood and their anxiety is so much worse. So they're taking a break to feel better. And when you position it like that, it's hard for people to dispute that. I think you might find that most people say, yeah, I know what you mean. Well, good for you. I just think so many people, so many women in midlife are reassessing their relationship with alcohol. The key is to have a line ready, a sentence that you've practiced so you don't have to come up with something on the fly in the moment. And you do want to make sure you include something in there about how good you're feeling, even if that isn't true, even if you're just faking that positivity. You want to say that because then it positions this decision as something that's already been made and that you're very happy with. So it's not up for negotiation. And that's a good place to be. Here's something else that will help. If you can, try and communicate this information in advance. The big benefit to doing that is then you don't have to have this conversation in the moment. It's already been said and dealt with. And then not only are you managing expectations in advance, but you're also setting an intention and you're kind of holding yourself accountable to doing what you've told other people you're going to do. And if you're navigating some kind of family event like Thanksgiving, which will be in someone else's home, then you can also think about what you want to drink. Because you don't want to, if you're going to someone else's home, you don't want to put the host in a position where they're surprised, they don't cater for you, and they feel bad because they can only basically offer you water. Maybe you volunteer to bring some alcohol-free punch or something like that. And I'll bet you'll be surprised how many other people will drink it. Now, my final tip is something for you to use if you end up dealing with someone who just doesn't take the news very well. But I do want to stress that most people will be fine about this. Most people will surprise you by how open-minded they are or by how little they care about what you drink. Even people that you used to go drinking with, because people change, right? And sometimes we forget that alcohol isn't a big deal to everyone. It might feel very important to us, but other people, many other people, just don't care that much about it. So if someone is very disappointed that you're not drinking, or they just won't let it drop, I want you to do two things. First, remind yourself that you're not responsible for anyone else's happiness. And I'll go back to what I said right at the beginning. You are just putting a different liquid in your glass here. It really isn't that big of a deal. And if someone else needs you to drink the same liquid as them so that they can feel okay and have a good day, that is their problem. They've got bigger problems to deal with. The second thing you can do is ask this pestering person, why is it important to you that I drink? Be direct. Ask it calmly. Because actually that answer can reveal some really useful information. Sometimes other people just want to make sure that you are having fun, that you are enjoying yourself. And then if you can reassure them that you're fine, thank you very much, then actually they can let it drop. And for other people, questioning them directly just makes them realize, hey, yeah, I'm actually pressuring this person to drink. Like, why am I doing that? I'm not that kind of person. But like I said, I think you might be surprised by how brilliantly most people respond. So I'm Kate B, and those are my tips for dealing with other people when they ask you why you're not drinking this festive season. Let me know in the comments if you have any tips that you'd like to share and what your experiences of this are.